Alright, hello everyone. So people have been clamoring for another Swanky Hat episode. So I am here with my hat and with my awesome fish tie, and we're going to be doing another episode of how to get better at League of Legends. Over the last 2 years that I have streamed games, I've gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of comments and a lot of chat with viewers from many different people. And I have noticed that there are a few common misconceptions and a few common mistakes that people make while watching streams that are really hurting, I think, people's ability to learn the most they can from watching streamers. League of Legends is kind of unique in the esports community because almost all of the top players make their money from streaming. From every time they play a game, 60,000 people watch them play that game, and they talk through all of their thought processes as they are playing. This is obviously an incredible opportunity, right? It's an incredible resource for learning and improving and getting better at the game, because the very best players in the game know it inside and out, and are awesome for a reason, right? And they can tell you all sorts of very useful things. So I'm going to be focusing on the most common type of streaming for League, which is the first-person streamer who talks through the game as they play it and live, which I think is probably the most common and also probably the most useful, more useful than watching professional fives games with third-party commentators, and more useful than watching people talk over the replays subsequently. Partly because for most people it's more fun, and having fun is an important part of learning from a stream. Anyways, we're going to be starting with probably the single most common misconception about streamers, and it's just this: streamers are much better than they appear. Streamers are better players than you will ever see on camera, because for a very simple reason, talking and playing at the same time is hard. It is not easy. I can tell you this as someone who's been doing it for 2 years. I have a lot of practice with talking and streaming at the same time, and it is difficult. Remaining engaging and talking through your thought processes while playing a game like League of Legends is difficult. Day 9 once compared playing StarCraft to like playing the piano and playing Grandmaster level chess at the same time. So a streamer whose job is to entertain you, whose pay depends on keeping their viewers happy, is like playing the piano, playing Grandmaster level chess, and being on television at the same time. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of dedication, and the people who are very good at it, the high-level professional streamers, are doing an incredible juggling act every second that you see them on camera. This is why streamers will often make plans, but then not have the decision-making or execution skills to back up those plans. It's not necessarily that the plan is bad, it's that they are overestimating their ability to execute on it. Streamers often, because they are used to playing better, they are used to being better than they look on stream, will try to make plays that are too difficult for them to perform while talking about them and will therefore fail. And it's so easy for viewers to forget that they have this extra distraction, that viewers will often conclude that this is a bad plan, when really what's going on is the streamer is just not able to execute on a complicated plan. So don't conclude necessarily that complicated plans are bad because you see them fail frequently. Conclude that the streamer is not paying enough attention to succeed at these complicated plans, and give the plan a try. This leads to the next most important thing about streaming, which is simply this: try everything you see. If you like something that you see, try it. It's how I learned how to play like easily 3/4 of the heroes that I play, was just by watching people and, you know, all the builds and maneuvers and jungle timings and everything. It was just by watching people play it and being like, hey, that looks cool, I'm gonna do it. Don't be afraid to try new things in a real game, because a streamer did it, so you know it works. It's not like you just made this up off the, out of your head. Accumulated knowledge over time is a valuable resource, and you should steal it from streamers. anytime you're watching a stream, to learn a thing that you're going to try or just to have fun, you should bear in mind that the best things that you can learn from streaming, right? You can't learn mechanical skill from streaming. You'll never learn mechanical skill from watching videos. But what you can learn is timings. You can learn cooldowns, you can learn rhythms, you can learn like the timing on last hitting, you can learn the spacing between tower shots and the ranges involved, and sort of how it feels to be in those situations. You can learn the feeling of getting to a jungle camp at the right times. So just as you're watching, you should always have a sort of a clock in the back of your mind. You should have a count so that you can learn the rhythms of playing the game and internalize them. If you think, you should always think, last hit that creep, right before the streamer last hits a creep. Because this way, when you're in a game and you see a creep in the same situation, you will have the instinctive need to last hit it. The best way to watch streamers, and I get this comment occasionally from viewers, is if you get so caught up in the game that you try to click around and like move the map, but can't, right? Because you're watching a video, and people are like, I tried to move the map over, or I tried to level up my skill for you. Occasionally, those people are doing it right. Those people are becoming so absorbed in the game, they're internalizing the rhythms of the game so well that they think that they are playing. And therefore, when they actually do play, the rhythms of the game are already going to be theirs to command, and they will have a much easier time picking things up and learning and doing better. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is that rather than watching a whole bunch of different streamers, you should focus on a couple streamers. You should pick a few that you like, and you should just try to watch most of their content. And, you know, branch out occasionally and watch a few other people sometimes, but you should really pick a few streamers to focus on. For me, the streamers that I have focused on in the past were Tree Eskimo and Roku back when they were streaming. And now I watch a lot of Wings of Death and Zekent, who I've mentioned previously. I've been watching a little bit of Skara recently, and anyways, not that important. But the reason that you want to focus on a couple streamers is because you can learn their strengths and weaknesses and figure out where they play well and where they play badly. I'm going to talk about Wings and Zekent because I think that they're an excellent pair of streamers to watch because their styles are so polarly opposite. Wings is amazing at winning his lane and it's snowballing a lane advantage into a crushing victory, right? He's incredible at doing this, but when he falls behind, he tends to go on tilt and play badly and like die to ganks, so he tends to be pretty weak to ganks. Zekent, on the other hand, is basically the exact opposite. He has a tendency to get a little silly when he's crushing, and will occasionally throw games that should be won. But when he's doing poorly, he's an amazing team leader, and he like pulls shit together and makes Baron calls that win his team the game, and helps calm down temperamental players, and does all these kinds of things amazingly. The reason that you want a candid evaluation of a few streamers' strengths and weaknesses, and to learn their styles very well, and their strengths and weaknesses very well, is that you can adopt their styles in situations that play to their strengths. My goal when I play a lane that I'm winning is to try to play as much like Wings as possible. When I get ahead, I'm like, it's Wings mode. I need to play like him, because he is so good. His style is so good for winning games that he has gotten ahead in. Conversely, when I'm behind, it's play like Zekent time, because his style is so good for clawing victory back from the jaws of defeat. If you learn what streamers are good for, then you can, and good at, you can adopt their style and try to imitate them as much as possible in the situations that they excel in. Just as a side note, if you want a candid evaluation of my own strengths and weaknesses as a streamer, since I imagine several of you are regular viewers, I think that my best asset as a streamer is my game sense and game analysis. And so what you should try to do is learn from the way that I evaluate champions, and not necessarily learn from the way that I last hit or position myself, things like that. But what you should do is think, when you have to make an evaluation, you should maybe go, oh, I should try to make this evaluation like a Terran because he's good at it. Another important thing to remember while you're watching a stream is that your job from watching this stream is to get better, not to help the streamer get better. So what this means is that rather than pointing out a mistake that you see them make, ask them why they made the mistake. Force them to explain the mistake to you. This way you're going to get a candid analysis of a mistake that they made, rather than a defensive sort of, you don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. If you make them explain a mistake or a victory to you, then you get to learn their thought processes, and you get to sort of apply those thought processes yourself. Your job is not to help the streamer improve. The contract between streamer and viewer is actually very simple. The contract is just, we make videos, you watch them. All that we need from you, right, the only thing you owe us is your attention and basic politeness, but you owe that to literally every human being you interact with, so that's nothing special. But all that we expect from you is to watch our videos. The streamers who are making their livings off of it, all they need from you is to watch their videos and watch the ads, so that they can make cash off the ad revenue and donate it and so on and so forth if you really like their streams or whatever. You know, because if you support them, they can keep streaming. But your job in general is just to learn the most that you possibly can out of the stream. So your job is to guide the streamer into explaining things to you that you don't understand. Not to force the streamer to be defensive about mistakes that they made or to gloat over victories. Ask the streamer how they got to that point and make them explain it to you. If you don't understand a point in this video, by far the most useful thing to do is to leave a comment asking a specific, detailed question about it, and then I will answer that specific, detailed question. And this is true of all of my videos. If people have specific questions, it's very easy for me to respond to those comments. If people have sort of vague, general statements, it is not easy. Also, if you're watching a recorded video, this is just a sort of very simple thing for how to leave comments for people, and this is true of all videos and not just League of Legends streams. Include a timestamp when you have a question about a specific event, because the streamer does not remember it, especially if the game was played a while ago. Speaking of games played a while ago, don't be afraid to watch old content, right? Old content is very valuable, especially if you're focusing on a streamer and learning from that one streamer. You can learn the development of their thought processes, which is actually an extremely useful thing to learn, because not only does it teach you what they think currently, it teaches you how they got there, it teaches you how they think. So this way, rather than adopting just blindly going, okay, they think this item's good, so that I think this item is good, you should think, they got to the point of thinking this item is good via this process, right? They bought this item in this game, this game, this game, and this game, because I have watched their old content and I understand how they got here. And now I know what they're basing that analysis on. And then you, when confronted with similar evidence, can use a similar thought process to that streamer to arrive at a conclusion, the same conclusion that that streamer would have arrived at, most likely, when presented with that evidence, because you learned their thought process. What you're trying to do is steal not only their play, but also their entire method of looking at the game, because that will by far improve your game the most. Obviously, you're watching a streamer because you think they have something valuable to give you, right? Especially if you're watching a high-level professional streamer, what they have valuable to give you is mastery of the game, and usually entertainment value. So try to steal literally as much as you possibly can from them, to the point where you not only are playing like them, but also thinking like them, which is why it's important to watch streamers who you like and not watch douchebags, because if you start thinking like a douchebag, you're going to be a douchebag. Also because douchebags don't deserve the viewers and shouldn't get your money. Why are you paying for a douchebag? I don't understand. Who cares? So yeah, you should try to steal their playstyle, their thought processes, and as much as you can from them. But of course, bear in mind when you're watching old content that it's old, and, you know, they're going to be making decisions based on things that they thought then, not necessarily things that they think now. Check their new stuff to see if they've updated their thought process before you know, come to a conclusion on it. So anyways, just as a quick rundown of what we went over. Step 1, streamers are better than they appear. Step 2, use streams to learn rhythms of the game, rather than trying to learn mechanics. Step 3, try everything you see, especially if it looks fun or interesting. Step 4, focus on a couple streamers and get to know them really, really well. Step 5, use their strengths and their play styles in situations that they excel in. Step 6, don't look for mistakes. And actually, I forgot to mention something about not looking for mistakes. So it's a good thing that I was reiterating this, because I forgot something. And that's this. When a streamer does make a mistake, usually they're going to have an excuse for it, right? They're going to be like, this is why I made this mistake. Ignore that. Don't listen to what a streamer has to say right after they make a mistake. Instead, listen to what they say later on, like, you know, a minute later or 10 minutes later, because good streamers will have a second analysis of what they're going to say, of what they did. The tendency is, of course, to excuse our failures, right? But if you wait for a second analysis, then you're going to get a much more valuable take on it. So bear in mind what already happened during a stream and just come back to it. And lastly, remember that your job is to get better, not to help them get better. So yeah, anyways, hope that was helpful to everybody. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you enjoyed this video, and also to follow my stream at twitch.tv/Etarran, that's twitch.tv/ETARRAN, where I stream pretty close to every day, and have pretty good times doing it. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/EtarranGaming, and leave comments, rate the video, you know, thumbs up and shit. Just click everything. And yeah, thanks very much, guys. I will see you all later. Cheers, folks. GG.